In a world where every city had its own rank system of skill and reputation, there lived a humble carpenter named Raiden. He was just a level 3 handicrafter. He had no rare tools, no gilded workshop, and no elite title. Yet, his hands held a kindness that outshone any weapon. Forged in the kingdom, every day, he walked from district to district, fixing broken fences, patching wooden bridges, and carving repair runes on old homes. His fee, whatever the owner could offer, sometimes a few coins, sometimes a hot meal, and sometimes nothing at all. Raiden believed a world could only be strong if its people learned to hold each other up. One rain-drenched afternoon, he passed through the lower quarter. The houses there stood like worn-out soldiers, barely surviving the battle against time. He saw a poor man named Leo, desperately trying to keep his wooden door from falling off its hinges. All he had was a rope, a flimsy defense against the wind threatening to tear it apart. Raiden approached and asked, "Mind if I lend a hand?" Leo, flushed with embarrassment, replied, "I cannot pay, Master Carpenter. Even my food is limited this week." Raiden just smiled, dropped his tool bag, and said, "I didn't ask for payment. I asked for permission." Without another word, he got to work. He measured, sanded, and reinforced the frame. He carefully applied structural runes to keep the wood firm against the weather. Within an hour, the door looked brand new, even better than before. When Lil touched it, it felt like something built from hope itself. With tears in his eyes, he asked, "Why help a man who has nothing to give?" Raiden simply answered, "Goodness is an investment, just not in coins." That day passed, and months rolled on like quiet waves. Then one day, the sky of the kingdom shifted to a shade of dark purple. It was a bad omen in old folklore, for it meant a storm was coming. Not a normal one, but a skybreaker, a supernatural disaster that tore through cities, tested barriers, and pushed people to their very limits. Raiden was at the outer walls, fixing a merchant's wagon, when the first massive thunderstrike hit. It shattered the east tower, and chaos erupted. Everyone ran, scrambling to find shelter. In the rich district, the Grand Home sealed their arcane barriers, allowing only registered members to enter. Raiden ran to the gate of a wealthy household he had helped countless times. He had built their garden shade, restored their floors, and repaired their furniture. He'd even waived service fees so they could afford other luxuries without worry. He knocked as the wind howled like a beast. A guard peered out. "Sorry," the guard said. "The master says we can't take in outsiders." Raiden was stunned. "Outsider? I worked on this house for years." But the guard shut the door. The arcane shield ignited with a blue light, locking Raiden out as lightning sliced the sky. Rain slammed against him like shards of glass. The storm's fury pushed him toward the cliffside road. He could barely see, barely stand. Every shelter he tried either refused him, had its gates closed, or was already filled to capacity. His clothes were soaked, his tool bag heavy with water, and his hands, the very hands that had rebuilt half the lower district, trembled from the cold. The skybreaker roared harder. The mountain wind grew violent, almost lifting him off his feet. For a terrifying moment, he thought he would be swept into the gorge below. And then, a door swung open. A simple door, an old one he recognized. Leo stood there, the poor man he had helped months ago. Without a second of hesitation, Leo pulled him in, blocking the wind with his own body. "Master Raiden, get inside, quickly," he yelled. The house was small, barely 2 rooms, yet it felt warmer than any castle Raiden had ever been in. Leo placed a blanket around his shoulders and said, "You saved my door. Tonight, my home saves you." Raiden looked at the very door he had fixed, the only thing now protecting them from a storm that could devour entire villages. The storm raged all night, shaking the hills and smashing trees like twigs. Some of the rich homes lost power, their magical barriers failing from overload. But Leo's little house stood firm. The runes Raiden had carved into the door glowed faintly, fighting back against the wind. By morning, the storm had calmed. Raiden opened the door to see the sun returning, its golden light painting the sky, as if praising the very act of kindness that had saved him. Leo said, "I have nothing but gratitude, Master Raiden. You gave without expecting, so it was my honor to return what little I could." Raiden replied, "You gave more than most who have everything." Word of what happened spread through the kingdom like wildfire. The story of the carpenter who helped everyone, only to be abandoned by the rich and saved by a poor man who remembered his kindness. The tale even reached the king, who summoned Raiden to the palace. "A kingdom is judged," the king said. his voice echoing in the great hall, not by how the powerful treat each other, but by how the humble are treated, and how they treat others in return. He appointed Raiden as royal craftsmaster not because of his skill, but because of his heart, and he made Liu his personal assistant, guaranteeing him food, shelter, and work for life. When asked why he chose a poor man for such a role, the king said, "Anyone who remembers kindness is worth more than 1,000 soldiers." Raiden and Liu walked down the palace stairs together, laughing and talking like old friends. Their lives had been forever changed not by coins, not by rank, but by the simple act of a man fixing a broken door for free and another man opening his home during a deadly night when no one else would. And so the world learned that goodness does not always return from where you give it. It returns from where it was planted, often in the places you never expect. Thank you so much for watching. If this story touched you, please give it a like and consider subscribing for more tales that warm the heart. See you next time.